Okay, we're back with Andrew and Amanda. First of all, let me have you know, I just cut one of my own commercials because I think this topic is so important. People hear me all the time. Take it away again. Start up. Yeah! Tell you what, you're both doing a great job. All right, Andrew, Amanda, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I think sort of back to the core point of why are we doing this?
Right.
I mean, I think, why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this because there's no reason that this new health care law needs to place yet another burden on small business and individuals. Never mind the self-employed or people that maybe don't have a job, that are barely buying insurance, and now they're going to see another $500 sort of slapped on their back. I think this has also a lot of unintended consequences about, the affordability of private insurance. We talk a lot about cost shifting and, the Medicaid role, and that's going to probably be increased at the state level. And we go back to an issue like this, and you wonder why. We're seeing so much of that. The private insurance industry having to cost shift, taking more roles. The
constant rate increases.
Constant. And I mean, basically the individual and small group market, which is where most individuals and small employers purchase their health insurance, has been turned upside down.
Which is in the fully insured market.
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be a real challenge, I think, to look over the next couple years and to be able to navigate the healthcare system, and much less to figure out how much is this really going to cost me at the end of the day.
Correct.
And, don't forget that assuming that nothing happens with the Supreme Court, let's say they keep the law in standing and that nothing is overturned, you've got dual mandates to deal with. So you've got an individual mandate to compel you to purchase health insurance, and you've got an employer responsibility mandate. And so you can't really get around this health insurance tax. You're kind of stuck with it whether you like it or not. Maybe you had thought before you just weren't going to purchase health insurance. You're going to just roll with it. Not so much.
Good luck.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
So I think the issue matters more even now because of the restrictions that Congress has put on sort of, I guess, to be frank, individual liberty. I mean, you're kind of stuck with it. You got to go for it.
Certainly.
And I think that's, those are decisions. I don't think people realize how much $500 affects things. I mean, $500 is, a month and a half of groceries, depending upon where you live. It's not chump change. And it's only going to increase, Michael, from that conservative 500 up. I mean, in the second 10 years of this tax, because it does not go away, okay, there's no sunset on it, we could be talking easily $200 billion passed through to individuals. So we could be talking maybe in the next 10 years at least $1,000 per head per employee.
So this 500 is just an initial conservative figure?
Yes, because the tax is not static. The tax increases year to year.
Okay.
And Michael and Amanda, I don't know of a single small business owner here in Connecticut or an NFIB member that I've spoken to that has planned to have an additional $500 or $1,000 in their operating budget for the coming years.
Absolutely not.
And keep in mind, this is a nationwide tax that's going to impact small business owners in every state. But here in Connecticut, it's almost like insult to injury because our small business owners here, unfortunately, are already on the brink. We've had to absorb some terrible legislative policies in the last year, such as mandated paid sick leave or the largest tax increase in state history last year. So we're still trying to recover from that. And now as
the
part
state
of the
mandates,
federal...
slow down because my listeners out there, when you say a state mandate, let me explain a little background. The insurance company goes to the Department of Insurance and they say, okay, these are federal mandates. We need to include these in our policies. Is that correct, Andrew?
Well, you're right. There's two types of mandates. There's federal mandates and then there's state mandates.
Right.
And the state mandates are what we're really concerned about here. And those mandates come from the state legislature, and they say that if you are an insurance company doing business in the state of Connecticut,
correct,
and you're offering a policy, that your policy must cover X, Y, and Z. Now, here in Connecticut, unfortunately, we have the dubious distinction of having over 60 different insurance coverage mandates, which makes us among the highest in the country.
Now, these are important. I mean, I have a beautiful wife. Everything regarding the wellness and the mammographies and the colonoscopy, those are all very important. We're not saying that mandates shouldn't be in healthcare. But what Andrew and Amanda are saying is a quick little background from an insurance agent, the guy in the battlefield every day. We at GS Regan Associates, Inc., just GS Regan for now, we insure groups, because I only have 5 employees, we insure groups of 250 and under. Now, what Amanda keeps saying is self-insured versus fully insured. Now, I can tell you, we'll use XYZ. XYZ Machine Shop in Waterbury has 234 employees. Their medical premium with said carrier is $130,000. What self-insuring means is you take those $130,000 monthly premiums, you bank that. We'll use $120,000 for easy numbers. 12 times 12 is 144. So if you can't take your insurance premiums, $120,000, multiply it by 12, and get $1,440,000. If you can't save enough money with adverse selection, good risk to bad risk, you've lost the money. You've actually now put your company into a financial hold. I can tell you $1,440,000 is chemo and radiation for 2 employees. I lost my mom. 6 months she was in ICU. Chemo and radiation is a fortune. ICU is a fortune. So they go to what 87% of other small business owners do. They go to what is called fully insured market. And Amanda Austin touched on that, and as well as Andrew E. Markowski touched on that. What a fully insured market is small group. Small group, none of my employers want to hear that they're 234 strong in their small group. But there are the large Home Depots, the Lowe's out there that have thousands and thousands of employees. So the small group market goes to a carrier, whether it be United Health Group, Anthem, Aetna, Connecticut, your larger carriers. They're subsidiaries like Oxford, but it's part of the United Health Group. They go with their census. They shop the insurance around. You know you're out there, the machine shops listening or the steel shops. You're a group of 28 people. You're doing everything you can to survive in this economy. You're paying whatever the carrier is. Your premium for that size group, it's around $26,000 a month. And now you're going to be hit per employee with an additional $500, and that's a conservative figure, and it's going to go up. Is that what we're hearing?
You're absolutely right, Michael. And, you and Amanda both touched on this.
She touched on it. She's a genius. Good caller, Amanda Austin.
Well, that's why she's NFIB's healthcare expert in D.C. We've got the best fighting for us here.
Intelligence.
In Connecticut,
that's what we're trying to show here. We are not taking this time to just talk. We're trying to get you to move, take action, be an American, not an Americant. Let's get going here.
Absolutely. And you said, Michael, so many small businesses are on the margin, and this impact of the hit, whether it's $500 at the very least or $1,000.
Well, at the onset, let's just say.
Per employee.
I know. I just did the numbers on my iPhone.
It's scary. It's scary. And what this will do is it'll just take some of those small businesses that are already on the margin. They're going to attempt to escape the tax by possibly self-insuring. But I think you just described very aptly that can pose some serious financial risks to your business. So
and liability. You've got to be an actuarial science genius to take whatever claims you're going to pay out versus premium dollars saved and win.
That's right. And there's a reason why typically it's only the larger businesses that have the ability to self-insure. So
right, and they also put in stop losses. They put in health reimbursement accounts. They put in Sentinel health savings accounts. They reimburse. Believe me, there's a lot of ways to play this self-insured game. It's not as easy as just put the money in the left pocket, pay the money out of the right pocket. You have TPAs out there that are actually crunching the actuarial science dollars with this.
You're absolutely right.
You do.
And what you need to keep in mind is that the majority of small business owners don't have a full complement of accountants and attorneys and in-house human resources staff and actuaries, all the things that their larger competitors have. So these small business owners who are watching every single dollar and are overseeing the operation of their business need to proceed cautiously. When they see a new policy coming down, such as the HIT that's going to cost them $500 or $1,000 per employee, they need to pay attention and take action, and that's what we're talking about today.
Calls? Yeah. All right, Amanda, Austin, Andrew E. Markowski, we have to at least let some of the public talk to you. The line is lit up. We've been ignoring the board. They're literally calling now the other line saying, I really want to talk. So you're going to stay on the lines. We're going to merge the calls in. We have to take some calls. This is just such a popular topic. Please be nice to the listeners. Don't beat anybody up. Caller on line 2. Robert, how can I help you, sir? Caller on line 2.
Hello?
Yes, Robert. Thank you very much for being patient and waiting. You have Andrew, Amanda, and Michael here on the line. How are you?
Yeah, it's Joshua.
Joshua.
Yeah. There's more than one person at that.
Sorry. Enough of this name calling. Josh, how can we help you?
Talking about the health insurance issue, do you all have a take on the long-term pattern going back to the 80s, around 1980, of a decline in businesses insuring their employees? I know the decline went from 80%, where people got their insurance from employers. It's down to like 53, 54 right now, and it's been a trend line. So that's a situation that's not that's created a lot of underinsured. I mean, tens of millions, probably around 100 million underinsured and uninsured folks who, when I was growing up, my parents and uncles and aunts, everyone had pretty good insurance. Everything is different now. And what's your take on trying to solve that problem?
Go ahead, experts.
Well, I think Josh has a great comment.
Thank you for calling, Josh.
Yep, thank
about
you.
The decline. I mean, we are seeing that, and we've seen it for decades, that cost is continuing to be the number one issue that is really kind of making businesses make that difficult decision to drop coverage. And you're about right with where sort of, I guess, the national statistics are, right around 55, give or take, % of small employers, probably with under 50 employees, are kind of hovering around. And obviously, as you get larger, you can sort of bear the brunt, if you will, of purchasing that sort of enormous sort of product for your employees. I think what we have seen, I guess, trending from businesses, once they are insured, they really try and do everything they can to remain insured until they have to drop, whether that's cost shifting a little to the employee or maybe not being able to cover dependent care 100%. But I really still believe at the end of the day, it's simply the cost and probably some of the, I guess, administrative role, sort of playing that HR role that they don't really have a good grasp on but have to do regardless, that is really driving those numbers down. Now, I will say last year we saw a quick blip where there was actually a larger take-up rate from business last year, and we couldn't quite figure that out, but it's kind of back to where it was before. And I'm not sure that there's a silver bullet, frankly, for that. I think it's just becoming more and more difficult and extremely expensive, and businesses are thinking twice before offering.
Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think expense is one piece of the pie, but the reason why insurance is going up, this is a snowball effect, and this is why I think the analysis is not deep enough. If less and less businesses are insuring and people are underinsured and uninsured, then the medical system has to pick up the bill.
Absolutely. The emergency room essentially becomes the doctor's office.
Right, and then the doctors and the hospitals especially, because we know a lot of costs are as we get older, not when we're young, all of a sudden they have to make up for the underinsured, and so when they're negotiating contracts with insurance companies, they increase their rates not just for the cost of taking care of their employees, but also for everyone who's uninsured.
Right.
So you have a dysfunctional snowball effect going on for 30 years. That's really part of why the cost structure is high. That's a cause. We know the overhead on paperwork and bureaucracy, both in the nonprofit hospital medical system and the for-profit piece, and in the insurance system, creates a lot of overhead that's a burden on the cost structure. And I think the other part is we got rid of what I call, this is the last piece when you're looking at the whole macro sector of the economy. When we deindustrialized the United States to a good extent in the last 35 years, most of those jobs, union and non-union, had really good benefits. And those folks who lost those jobs, their replacement jobs in general did not have that same benefit structure. They became the under and unemployed, when they were, on the other hand, had some of the better insurance policies. So we have that, what they call the shrinking middle class. A lot of it is based on the loss of our industrial, the shrinkage of our industrial base. So I think those three factors have made a huge impact on what I was a small business guy in the past, what we would pay for insurance. I think those are the biggest problems, along with pushing prescription drugs like there's no tomorrow. That's another piece, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we allowed prescription drugs and attorneys to advertise in all venues because they used to be regulated, that you'll see the increase of certain things in demand for those products, and then they have impacts on the expenses. So those are all kinds of pieces in the puzzle of the whole cost structure.
Yeah, I think you're right on. I mean, insurance is a game of numbers, and
Yep.
I think it's so hard to quantify. Businesses start and stop every day. They're created and then they're destroyed, and that's just sort of the name of the game. And if there's a product to be sold, there is a customer. And so I think it's we tend to see more of the more established businesses offering coverage than some of the newer businesses.
That's right.
And with the economy sort of shrinking, if you will, there is sort of a natural inclination to not see as much offering. On top of that, I think, too, we hear a lot about sort of the balance of compensation. And, employees are wanting more money compensation as it relates to direct wages over benefits. And that's a really hard thing to weave related to each business structure, whether it's retail or manufacturing, sort of the age of the employees and sort of what really drives their decision-making internally in their household. And I think it's such a large, to your point, sort of macroeconomic on how everything is boiled down. I mean, there's no one answer. There's no one tax. It's a consortium of everything. I mean, we don't even need to. We could spend probably 5 hours on this show talking about just entitlement reform in general and how that affects everything, never mind the waste, fraud, and abuse in the hospital system.
That's another thing, too. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Josh, that was a beautiful statement. First of all, you're a very well-educated caller. When you raise your reasonable and customary rate and you demand a higher reasonable and customary rate from the carrier, you're actually making sure you cover all the back-end uninsured, underinsured, wrong CPT coding. I mean, there is a lot of work, just like you explained it to the listeners. That's what it really comes down to.
Yeah,
and there is an epidemic of having the hospitals, which are so valuable to us, being a walk-in clinic. It's not a walk-in clinic. Right. But if you don't have health care, you are extremely nervous. So one of the things I'm an advocate is the only thing I like about the health care bill is the guaranteed issue account. That's the only thing I like about it. If we could get guaranteed issue and lower the numbers, fine. But the stop the hit health insurance tax, I mean, Josh, you clearly hear Amanda and and Andrew are intelligent people. They're spot on with this.
Yeah, I think the key thing is the whole penalty, whatever you want to call it, is if you're talking about that piece.
It's not a penalty; it's a cost burden, cost shifting to us, the small employer.
Right. But if you're
correct, Amanda.
Right.
Yes.
Well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some balance when you're talking about the small businesses' capacity to take on those things and what's quote fair and not fair. I think the piece that's been controversial in the news has been what they call the penalty. And I've
been told by some of my groups, I'll just take the penalty. All right. First of all, I hate to be rude, but
that's okay.
I have sponsors. I got to take a commercial break. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Amanda and Andrew will be back. Josh, thank you very much. You're an extremely intelligent person. All right. Good